Take your podcast to the next level with Media 22. From top-tier equipment to custom sets and a dedicated producer, we'll make you sound like a pro. We specialize in audio and video podcasts, video editing, content distribution, and live streaming for creators and businesses. Visit media22llc.com today for your free consultation. Media 22, where excellence meets creativity. Big Brothers Big Sisters of Wisconsin, in partnership with NFL Inspire Change, is launching the Big Draft, a statewide campaign to recruit 700 new mentors for Wisconsin's youth. Supported by NFL players and Mark Murphy, president and CEO of the Green Bay Packers, our goal is to recruit 700 bigs statewide, including 100 in Dane County, from February to April. We need community champions to help spread the word and become mentors. Mentorship transforms lives, offering youth the support and opportunities they need to succeed. Join us and make a big difference. You are listening to the Big Difference Podcast, a podcast about empowering youth and strengthening communities through the transformative power of mentorship. I'm your host, Tracy Anderson, Community Partnerships Manager at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dane County, and we are very excited to have an empowering conversation with some of our amazing guests today. Today, we're kicking off our very first podcast episode with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dane County CEO Sandy Morales and Joe McGonigle, former Little and current board member of Big Brothers Big Sisters. Hey, you guys.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Excited.
Yeah,
how
definitely
lucky
excited.
How lucky we are to be the first guests.
Setting the bar high, for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
You know, as soon as we knew that we were going to do this podcast, I was like, we have to have you both on for the first episode.
There's no better team.
I know. Agreed. Well, let's get started. Sandy, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Yes. Well, I'm not originally from Madison, so I grew up west of Chicago in this little suburb called Batavia, Illinois. So the only way people identify or know about Batavia is if you're an Aldi shopper, you will notice that every label on the back of Aldi product came from Batavia, Illinois, because
Claim to
that's
fame. I love
Wow.
it. I love it.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Actually, somebody told me that when I came to college in Milwaukee, so that's how I ended up in Wisconsin. I went to Marquette, and that's when I met people and I told them where they were from. They were like, oh, Aldi, and so that always stuck with me. But I've been in Madison for just about 15 years, and I've been involved with nonprofits just as long. I started off at United Way of Dane County, who also happens to be in the same building as we are. We are on the 4th floor of the United Way building. I always like to joke that I moved to the top when I moved to Big Brothers Big Sisters, because I basically worked on every floor of that building. So I started off in nonprofits at United Way. I worked in marketing. My background is in marketing, actually, business and marketing. And then I moved into fund development. There's always this battle between like marketing and business development that I hear about.
I deal with it every day.
Right? And so when I was in marketing, I was like, I will never go into development. Like, I'm going to stay on the creative side and the cool side. But I did dabble in the development, and then I discovered that I really love it. And I think part of it had to do with my marketing background, just because when you're in marketing, you're kind of in tune into everything that's going on in an organization because you are a resource to the entire organization. But once I got into development, I just realized like I can like really talk about our, the mission and the purpose. And so it was really easy for me to kind of do that work. And then I had an opportunity to come to Big Brothers Big Sisters about, 12 years ago now.
Wow.
To do development at Big Brothers Big Sisters. So at that time, I knew the CEO, Dora Zuniga, and she was one of the folks that I would go to frequently whenever we needed like a speaker for the United Way campaign, and it was like last minute. I would always like go up the stairs and go see her. And then before I knew it, I was asking her about her role, her leadership role, how she became the CEO. And so I really became interested in like, what would the possibilities be of ever running a nonprofit? So one day, there was an opportunity to come work at Big Brothers Big Sisters to do director of development. So, I took up that opportunity. I said yes. And so I started off as a development director back in 2013. And then there was an opportunity to apply for the CEO position when Dora stepped back from that position. I just received a lot of encouragement to apply. I think one of the things, I've had really great mentors that have encouraged me to, go for opportunities. And I remember at that time, one of our former board members, Dan Paulson, he said to me, he's like, what do you have to lose? Just go through the interview process. He's like, if anything, you're going to come out learning what it's like to go through the interview process to become a CEO. He was like, you're going to gain more out of it than you think. And so that really kind of helped with my fear, but yes, to make a long story short, went through the process, didn't expect to
Wow, really?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So
Exactly. I didn't expect to be, the one of the final candidates and in the end be the one selected to lead the organization. But I have a lot of people to thank in my network for that encouragement, even like board members and just friends and family who really saw that, regardless of what happened, it was like, you have to try. You have to at least go for it and see what happens.
That's awesome. All these years, I've never known that story about you. Like, you didn't even know if you were going to get it or not.
Right.
And the thing is, you've been in the role for 12 years, which is unheard of, by the way, isn't it? Like with CEOs and nonprofits?
There are some. I will say that I know there's some CEOs, directors in town that have lasted, and then some who it's like, okay, I tried this for 3 years. I gave it a try, but no, it's not for me. So I think it definitely can go both ways. But even within our Big Brothers Big Sisters network nationally, I've met some CEOs that have retired in the last few years that had been with their organizations for 20 plus years. And so I think it's possible to stay with an organization as long as you feel inspired by that organization and you feel motivated by the mission.
Yeah. And I will say Sandy is very, very well liked in the community. I know she hates it when I say that. But
I've gone to Rotary Club events with her, and she's the belle of the ball.
Anywhere you go.
Anywhere you go.
And it's really great to be a part of an organization where people really look up to the CEO and highly respect the CEO. I always say that. I mean,
definitely.
It's just, it's not easy to find. So, Sandy, what has motivated you to actually stay in your role for so long?
I mean, it's the mission. The work that we do is really incredible. I mean, we have, obviously there's kids in our community and parents who desire another adult because you know what? Parenting is hard. And,
Ditto.
and we all need help at times. I know like sometimes when, you have a child and they're they start having minds of their own and their brains start developing and they have opinions and and as a parent, you're trying to really hard to guide them in the right direction. And sometimes they just won't listen. Sometimes they listen to other friends, which is true. I mean, with social media, influencers. And so the reality is we provide another supportive adult who is a positive influence on someone. And we all need someone in our corner.
Yeah.
Who
absolutely.
we can trust, who we can go to. And I've seen that happen time after time in our program at Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I am just so grateful for the number of volunteers, over 500 volunteers each year that volunteer with us to say, yes, I want to make a difference. Not only is it I'm a positive influence for this young person, but I also get so much out of it as a volunteer. So, the fact that we work with people that really want to make a difference is what motivates me to keep going and working with our staff to grow the work that we're doing and bring mentoring to more youth in our community.
So, yeah, I mean, then I would ask, is that the most rewarding part of your experience as a CEO, do you think? Or
Yeah, it's the stories. It's our graduation event.
Yeah.
You know, when we see littles who, I mean, how many stories have we seen of littles that start in our program when they're 6 years old, and then now they're like 17, 18, and they're about to graduate high school. And you see like the timeline of all these moments that a big and little have had together. And then the parent, and, you know, they feel so grateful, but they also feel really good about like my child made it. My child graduated, right? And so, you know, that is an incredible moment for me, and I think for many folks, to just see that youth are getting through this. You know, it can be really hard. I mean, it's hard. I always say it's hard to be a young person, and who are getting to this milestone. And the reality is, it is likely that mentor will continue in that little's life, even beyond graduation.
Yeah.
Just seeing the trajectory and the possibilities of what our program can have on people's lives is definitely what keeps me here.
Yeah. And it's nice to see, like, after 12 years that you just light up. When you talk about, you just smile. When you talk about like the organization and the things that we do, it's nice to see that it's lasted for 12 years. Yeah. So how do you think the work at Big Brothers Big Sisters has impacted your life personally?
We ask volunteers and kids and parents, we ask them to enter into a relationship, and we guide them on what it takes to build a relationship. And so I'd have to say that the intentionality, that deliberateness that we have in guiding these relationships has definitely had effect on me and how I develop relationships and how I build those, whether it's with my family or with friends. So I definitely have taken our information that we provide to our matches for myself as well. And just that intentionality, even in my work. And like I know you mentioned that, you know, a lot of people are fond of me, and the reality is like, you know, I don't necessarily want to burn any bridges. You know, there's like no need to do that.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I try to be intentional on a lot of things, and a lot of that has to do with the work that we do.
I love that. Awesome. And I always look to Sandy, honestly, because you're so humble, like just very well liked, well respected. I mean, because I'm outreach, I'm out all the time, and people will say, "Oh, you're CEO Sandy." I mean, it's just a pleasure, and it's wonderful. I know I always embarrass you when I when I do that, but it means a lot. It really does.
I'm pleased, as you know, obviously, as long as it's impacting the mission positively, and it makes, you know, your work
it does
easier and more pleasant, then I'm all for it. I'll do it.
Sure does. All right, Joe. Let's get to you.
Yeah. So I'm Joe McGonigle. Oh, go ahead. No, you
oh, he's ready.
He's
ready.
He's on. Okay.
I've got a good intro in with something, so you know, I've got a cadence down.
I just want to start by asking, tell us about yourself. I want to, you know, hear your story. I want our podcast listeners to hear your story. How did you become a little in the program? And now you're a current board member. Mm-hmm. So how did that happen? I just want to hear it all.
Yeah. So I was a military brat. My mom was in the Air Force. We grew up on the East Coast, moved to Madison when I was about 5 years old. My father and my mother were divorced. He had some issues with alcoholism, in and out of jail. Getting into the program was really to find a male mentor and a positive male figure for me while we just moved to a new town, and kind of finding a guiding light to say, right? So my mom found Big Brothers Big Sisters, put me in as a applicant, or what would be the right term, right? Applicant?
Yeah, a little. I mean,
applicant, right? As a little. And I got matched with my big brother, Nate Piotrowski, in 1999 or 1998.
Oh, wow.
So quite some time.
Yeah.
You know, during that time, I was having, you know, some issues with male authority, issues in school, just certain things like that where maybe I wasn't at my best. Mm-hmm. So Big Brothers Big Sisters, the great organization that we are, stepped in and found me a mentor who really helped kind of guide me and help me see different perspectives, why school is important, why it's good to get out of your comfort zone, how to be civically engaged, and how to really, you know, be a man in a way, right? Where I had a little bit of a lack of that in my life. Nate has been instrumental in my development and who I am and my character. We still talk to this day. I went to college in Milwaukee as well, but I went to UWM. Go Panthers. I really have no allegiance there. I went there for a semester. But Nate lived a block away. So he moved from Madison to Milwaukee to pursue his master's degree. And so while I was in college, I was able to use him as a safe space and get dinners, get lunches, hang out, get that same sort of support even after I'd graduated out of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. After that, he visited me when I moved to Phoenix. He was at my wedding in the Dominican.
Wow.
He came the day or the week of my daughter being born. He and his wife brought us like lasagna and a meal and all of that. He attends the gala with me every year. We hang out, we chill. I mean, at this point, he's more of a homie to me, just because our relationship has been so long. He is still my big brother, but he does a great job of being a bit of a chameleon in our relationship and giving me what I need at that time, which he's always done, right? I mean, he taught me how to drive stick, and I now have a huge obsession with driving manual cars. And I like cars. How about that?
Sounds good.
And there's just lots of things that I look back that Nate has had a profound impact. My first time on a plane, Nate took me to Amsterdam and Paris, and that was part of his mission to drive me to do better in school to get my French grade up. If I took a foreign language, if it was French or Spanish, he said that we could take a trip somewhere to a country that is that speaking. I was expecting maybe like the French Quarter, Quebec, easy national trips. And Nate studied abroad in France and said that we can go to Paris. So we spent 2 weeks in Paris when I was in, I think I had to be eighth grade because I was 14.
Oh, wow.
Again, right, taking a 14-year-old as Nate's in his 20s over the pond to get world experiences that I don't think I would have ever seen without him. Nate worked in the mail department at Camp Randall, so we got to deliver the mail to all the players. And during that time that he was my big, Dane was at the university. So I got to deliver mail to Dane. I got to deliver mail. Who else was that? Like Chris Chambers was back there, Lee Evans, like just some amazing historical Badgers. And so I got to, see different things that I never would have. And I think it circles back to like during these mentor programs, like it's really perspectives that I think help change people, help change your worldview. The more you're exposed to in a positive way, the more your worldview is broadened, and then also the perspective you have on the world is changed. And I think that's one thing that I can't point out enough as far as what influence Nate had on me during my upbringing.
Yeah. So. I think it's so fascinating, the more and more bigs and matches that I talk to, because the minimum commitment is 1 year. But obviously we want lifelong matches. And I find it fascinating when I'm talking to like matches that have lasted beyond the program.
Yeah, to be 24 years from right now.
Wow. Yeah. Like what do you think has made you both want to maintain the relationship after all these years?
He's got bad taste in music, so I just kind of got to keep him on the right path.
You got to help him.
Yeah, I got to help him.
Yeah, you can't leave him.
He's, no. Nate is intelligent. He's goofy. He's independent. He travels nonstop. He's one of those credit card point connoisseurs, which has actually gotten me into it.
Yeah.
Like he travels on points and manages it in a way through like a Google Doc and folders that is insane.
Gosh.
So he's helped me with that. But a lot of the things that that are just him have then, kind of come on to me, right? It's the civic duty, right? He always talking about being engaged, understanding your community, being involved in the bigger picture, sports. And as much as I give him crap about his music taste, there's a lot of things that, like, music is a huge part of my life. And my first record that I ever spun was with Nate. The first time I ever scratched a record, the first time I ever used a mixing board or anything like that, played guitar. There's so many things that are my firsts that I don't know when I would have experienced them that I got with Nate. I mean, again, like going back to the time that he taught me to drive, right? Like it's a really special bond. His wife, Kara, is also an amazing woman. She's part of my life as well, right? I mean, the amount of time that you spend with your big, you start to spend time with their family. Kara worked at Jack's Shoes on State Street, big throwback if you're from Madison. And so I always used to go in there and get a new pair of shoes every once in a while. So there's just lots of things that are intrinsically part of me now that are reflections of Nate and his wife, Kara, that are very, very impactful.
So then I would ask, what do you think is the most rewarding part of having a big in your life when you were growing up?
I think having somebody outside of your own immediate family that you can trust, that can show you new experiences, that can be honest with you, that can share pieces of their life that they find valuable and are able to then cascade those things down. It was nothing but positive. I can't think of I think the worst memory I could ever have of Nate is we missed our flight from Charles de Gaulle in Paris coming back home. And it was just because we had to stay in the airport overnight. Every single experience we've ever had is something that I look back on as a good moment.
Yeah.
So, and I'm curious to know this too. How do you think he built trust in you? As a mentor.
I'm perfect. No, I'm just
Well,
playing.
it sounded like you had a lot of issues, like
Yeah,
male
for sure.
Issues. So he comes into your life. How did he build trust with you? How did you end up trusting him?
Yeah, I think, I remember when when I first got matched, I thought Nate was the coolest guy ever. Looking back now, tall, skinny, glasses, maybe not the epitome of cool, but he was
Right.
cool to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And he found common ground with me and things that I was interested in. Obviously, there was help from match support and my mom and all of that went on behind the scenes. But he did a really great job of being consistent, meeting me where I'm at, not forcing me into things, but pushing me into things that he could see I would be comfortable with. Nate's got a little bit of a rebel side to him, and he was very good about teaching me how to be a bit of a rebel, but doing it in a way that you're not going to get in trouble.
Right.
Not like anything bad, but skipping the line at Six Flags so you can get on the ride a couple more times. How to hide your bag over there on the side of the Batman ride, and that's after you get off, and then you can get back on the ride again in an open sea.
Okay.
Like certain things that
Yeah.
that just really at the time I look back on it and I was like, those are some of the best memories that I have.
You have lots of great memories.
Yeah, you do.
Dude, I always try to preface that my experience in the program is probably nothing like anybody else's, but maybe it is. Because actually going through the Bigs of the Year and reviewing some of the stories, people are traveling internationally to help out families in different countries because they're having difficulties. There's people who move away who maintain these bonds. And
Yeah.
It's just it seems like it's a part of our program. Right?
Yeah.
It's a part of the bigs that we recruit that really care about the relationship that they have with their littles.
Yeah, and I kind of want to circle back because you mentioned being on the committee, Big of the Year. You are a board member, and I want to know what made you want to get involved, and become a board member.
Yeah, so I was reached out by a family friend who is close to the organization. They had talked with my aunt about openings coming up and whatnot, and she had said that she thought I'd be a great fit for it. Given my extremely positive experience with the program, I saw it as a way for me to give back, a way for me to get back involved,
Yeah.
provide a unique perspective as well as a previous little. And it's important to me to, again, those things that Nate said, to give back to your community, to be civically engaged, to make sure that you're providing a positive impact. And I saw that as a great way for an organization that I can't speak more highly of.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing we'd want to see, and Sandy, I'm sure you would agree, a little in our program, having such success long term,
Yes.
and then coming back and either being a mentor themselves or being a board member, which is huge.
It is. And and Joe actually forgot to mention that he is our board secretary and also our gala committee chair. So he has definitely stepped up his leadership game here. And
It's a fine-tuned machine. I just get to help out where I can.
Well, you have great idea. You just,
Thank you.
really, we were on a call today and I'm like, oh, get it. Because I was like, and you really take the chair. I can see why you're board chair. So
Thank you.
It makes sense for sure.
I appreciate that.
I want to ask you both why you think mentorship is so important for today's youth.
I think it's so important because there are so many that don't have it and don't have that additional adult support in their lives. Parents obviously are kids' first mentor, but the reality is, I remember I heard this once from a local educator who said, kids need adults in their lives, plural. Not just, yes, parents are your first mentors, but they need adults in their lives. We always think kids just want to be off on their own and they want to be with, their friends and, but no, they need adults in their lives, and they do want adults in their lives, but obviously they want someone who's going to connect with them, that they can trust. And we know that 1 in 3 kids do not have a mentor. That's, that's a national figure. There's been research behind that. Both from Big Brothers Big Sisters of America and the Mentor organization. Our future really depends on the development of our youth. I mean, look at Joe. We need more Joes.
Yeah.
And if we can play a part in that and help in making sure that kids who want a mentor actually get a mentor, then, that's what we're going to keep on doing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think mentorship is very important. And the reality is it's important in kids' lives. It's important throughout your whole life. Mm-hmm. Everybody deserves someone that will stand in their corner and they can trust and they can go to.
Yeah. And I will just jump in and say, Joe is a true testament of what could happen if you have a mentor, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because, being a young kid, having issues like not trusting men, and now have a family of your own.
I do.
And board member and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
And a lot of that had to do with you having a mentor.
Exactly.
One thing I will note that obviously we want more of these stories that last a lifetime. I have met other littles and bigs who, are not with the program. Maybe they moved and their match had to close or something. But I have met plenty of people who have said, I was in the program when I was 10 or 14. I remember my big.
Yeah.
And they have like these core memories.
Yeah.
And I just think that's incredible, because even if we're not in a person's life, even if their big is not in their life, like the whole entire time of, the entirety of their life, or, they move again and their match closes. But the fact that they still hold on to those memories and they're like, that person was a positive influence in my life. Like, I think that's worth something. That's it. Really, what it means to me is that, we are making a difference, whether it's like lasting throughout the lifetime, or even if it's just like we had an opportunity to make a difference. Just that instant.
It's true. I think with the organization too, you're right. When I meet people, and some people will be like, they smile as soon as they're like, you work for Big Brother Big Sister? And I had this one guy say to me, and it's always stuck with me. He's like, I love the program. He had a big for a short period of time, but he said it meant so much to me because I just wanted somebody at my game. At my baseball game. Oh, my gosh. I hope I don't cry doing this podcast.
This is number 1. I think you're on a poor trajectory at this point.
Yeah, I know. But he was like, it just meant so much to know somebody was sitting out in the stands.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my gosh. Okay, so, Joe, before I start crying, what do you think mentorship, why do you think it's so important?
I think that, again, it's important to gain perspectives. I think life is all about learning, trying new things, gaining new perspectives. And if you maintain in the same echo chambers and, places that you are, you're limited in being able to see those opportunities. I think a mentor is the biggest cheat code, whether it be something like Big Brothers Big Sisters, whether it be in your professional career, education path, athletic career. Mentors are instrumental in the development of those that they work with.
Yeah.
And that's on all levels. And I think it's even more important and impactful on our youth. I think it's something that I look back on as being a pivotal point in me making right decisions, me becoming more socially aware, and me just hearing about my BS from somebody else, right? Like, that's one thing about Nate too, is he didn't shy away from telling me when I was messing up. He didn't shy away from correcting behaviors that I had that weren't necessarily good, right? And that's something that I needed. That's not something that I got, right? I mean, single black mom. I have a sister. She worked multiple jobs, did everything. Amazing woman, did everything she possibly could, but she needed support, and Nate filled that role perfectly.
Well, and I want to say too, parents need mentors. I mean, parents are having it rough.
I could use
too. Yeah. See, there you go. So yeah, I mean, when you think of like the mentorship too, and just like all the challenges that kids are facing, parents are facing as well. And it just really helps having them a part of the program. So what qualities make a good mentor? What would you say, Joe? Like, since you had a mentor, what are the good qualities?
I think somebody who's authentically themselves. Because I think that's one thing that I learned from Nate was he was entirely and authentically himself, right? He didn't try to be somebody else. He's corny. He's cool.
Right.
You know, he's got a little swag about him, but he's always himself and always will be. Right. And that's, I think, one of the biggest takeaways is you should be proud of who you are and be proud of yourself. And he let me be comfortable in my own skin. I think another one is consistency, right? I think that's another tangible from Nate is he was always there, right? I mean, I think I look back and like I don't know if there was a week I went without not seeing Nate unless he was traveling or doing something. So I'd say those are two big things, right? I mean, authentically yourself, obviously. We vet good candidates, and then two, just being consistent. Some people, like you said, they just need people to show up for them. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be in a big way. Like, come to my game, sit in the stands. That's it. Yeah. Right? That's 45 minutes out of a day that has a huge impact on the development of that kid.
It's true.
So,
you know, it just brings to mind. So with my little, she's 7, and when I first got matched with her, it was her birthday, and so I was shocked because like. I think we had gone out once before, but then her mom had texted and was like, we're having a birthday party at this restaurant. Would you come? And I'm like, oh, you know, and I remember being tired and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go. And then something told me, you know what? The parents are making an effort with me. I should go.
Yeah.
And I went. I hope I don't cry doing this podcast. She was waiting for me by the window.
Oh.
Okay.
You might make me cry here. I was not prepared for this.
I wasn't prepared for that either. But she was waiting for me by the window, and she was so excited when I got there. And it just meant a lot, you know? And I was like, you know what? You like, the days that you feel tired, like, don't feel tired. Like, go, you know? So anyway, Sandy.
Of course. Now you ask me.
I don't think they can edit out crying. What qualities do you think make a good mentor? You've been in this role for so long. I know you've seen like so many bigs come through. So what qualities do you think?
Well, I will definitely echo what Joe said, and I will double echo on the consistency, showing up. You know, I think that's usually what I tell people. You just got to be willing to show up. Right. And a lot of folks who are thinking about volunteering always have this fear, like, I'm going to be a terrible volunteer, or like, you know, and I'm just like, well, can you show up? Because that's really all you got to do is show up. And I mean, if you think about it, whenever you're building a relationship in general, you know, whether it's friends or a partner, you know, that you're, you know, hoping maybe to marry one day or whatever. Like, I mean, they take time, but what's the number one thing you got to do if you're going to build a relationship, period, is just show up and be there. Right. And so I would say that's very, very important. I think as a mentor, you also have to be, and especially with big brothers, big sisters, you have to also be willing to ask for help. And our match support specialists are there to do that. To help. And, you know, we ask our littles to be open to this opportunity. And it takes a lot up for them, obviously, to trust adults, to trust, you know, this person coming into their life. But we also ask our volunteers to be open to the fact that, you know, the little that they're matched with probably doesn't have the same background as they do, and ask them to be open to perhaps the challenges that they're facing, and meet our littles where they're at. And Joe, I know you mentioned that was important for you. So yeah, but obviously the number one thing is just showing up. Yeah. You know, saying if you're going to be there at Sunday, you know, 4 p.m. to go to the movies, then be there at Sunday at 4 p.m.
And I think that brings up the point too. People entering in this have to know it's like any other relationship. You're going to have its ups and downs. It's not going to be perfect. Right. I think a lot of people idealize, you know, they see the promotion or they see, you know, big brother, big sister. Oh my gosh, I want to be I want to change someone's life. And it's like any other relationship. I mean, you're going to have your good days and your bad days. Yeah,
for sure.
My mom used to use me like for punishment. She would be like, oh, well, You might not get to go see Nate this week. And that was always one of the things that you think about, like, kids get their phones taken away and stuff. Like, that's how that relationship was with me, where it's like, that's what I looked forward to. And so then it became a carrot.
Yeah, that's nice.
So,
that's really good. What advice would you give anybody who's considering becoming a mentor, but they're feeling like unsure about it? Joe, what do you think?
I think the commitment that you have in your head and the time commitment that it's going to be, you'll find to be very minimal. It's a commitment to be consistent, right? It's not a commitment out of your time. I think that you'll learn that while you develop this relationship, that's going to be effortless, and the time that you spend will be time that you value and enjoy. It's just kind of getting over that first hump. It's jumping in. I think that there's just as many benefits for a big in this program as there are for littles. And I've heard plenty of stories where bigs talk about the impact that their little has had on them, and it's wild. So it's something. It's not a one-sided relationship. It's not a one person's getting the benefit. You both are reaping the benefits of this relationship and this mentorship.
Yeah, and I would just say if there's any hesitancy, like Sandy was saying, we have match support. So people don't realize that either when they're entering the program. They think, well, I'm going to become a big and then I'll just be on my own. And you're not. You're supported throughout the entire relationship.
Exactly. That team is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to talk about, since we're, talking about people considering becoming a big, I want to talk about our recruitment campaign real quick because it launched this month. It's called the Big Draft, and this campaign aims to recruit 700 new bigs across 14 organizations in Wisconsin. Our goal here in Dane County is to bring in 100 new mentors. The campaign will run until April 26th. So the campaign builds momentum leading up to the 2025 NFL Draft in Green Bay.
Oh, my gosh.
I hope we get to go.
I'm going.
Joe, don't forget about us.
I'm manifesting it.
Okay.
I'm a big fan in manifesting things.
Yeah, I am
this
too.
Is the start of
Speak it. Okay. So this is going to be so fun. We just launched it this month. Wisconsin loves their sports. So Sandy, is there anything you'd like to share about the upcoming recruitment campaign as we work to draft more bigs? I know this is national campaign and it happens every year, but of course, because it's in Green Bay for the first time, we had to get on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I believe that I can recall that the whole state, so all 14 affiliates throughout the state are coming together to really leverage that. Like you said, the draft is here in Green Bay. So yeah, it's incredible. I'm really glad that we can all 14 affiliates can work together to really bring this alive, help bring more awareness to the need for mentors for men, So we do need, all of our affiliates need more male volunteers.
And men of color.
Yes, as well, to consider learning more. I would also say that if folks that are considering becoming bigs, knowledge is power. And so Tracy, she's always doing presentations. You're always out in the community, but you're also very accessible. So, and you're a big, and I think you are a great resource to a lot of folks who are considering becoming bigs. And so they should definitely reach out to the office and reach out to you because again, getting all your information is important. I know people need all that information before they make a decision. And I know folks that got all the information and then 2 years later decide to become a big. So
it happens.
Sometimes it doesn't happen immediately. Sometimes it happens when something really pushes them to do it. So
that's so true. And
so wait, you were Chicago West Suburbs?
Yes.
We're talking about the draft right now. If we all three were going to the draft, what colors would you wear?
Oh. Well, I do have plenty of blue and orange, but I don't know if they'll let me in.
Joe, just remember me when it's time to go because I'm aware.
We'll go to Green Bay.
Yes, we're going to go to Green Bay.
You asked me what I do have that. I don't have any green. I have BBS green. Does that count?
Do you have a Bears jersey?
I might.
You do?
I know.
Next question.
Look at the investigating you're doing.
We just have a priority list of who's going to be coming.
Right. Okay.
And you've come to the
bottom.
bottom.
Oh my goodness.
We'll take Simon. He's from the UK.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Before you, right?
I don't even know if Simon knows any of the players.
That's better than knowing the Bears.
Oh my gosh.
It's better than knowing the Bears.
So, Joe, we, definitely want you involved in this campaign. I know
Yeah.
we were on a call today. You had some amazing recommendations. Yeah, we would love to get you more involved. I mean, you seem to know a lot of people.
Yeah, get me involved. I'm more than happy to push some promotion
Okay.
and get some people to the event.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Maybe we can use this podcast to really launch our campaign for Jordan Love.
Oh.
To join us for a gala this year.
Ooh, I would love that.
I think that sounds like a perfect kind of scenario, right?
Yeah.
We're doing a draft themed campaign.
Yes.
Our gala is in the summer, and sounds like a perfect time for Jordan
He's
Love to make an
officially
appearance.
invited.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
officially.
If he hears
this
this.
is officially.
This is
Yeah,
yeah.
Jordan, this is for you.
Yeah. If anybody knows how to make something go viral,
I know.
tap in.
I'll have to tag him in this post,
Yes.
this episode. So, Sandy, I just want to ask you, how can businesses or other organizations support mentorship and youth development initiatives? I know it's really important for us. I'm community partnerships manager now, along
And
still
you do
with
an
doing.
amazing job.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Your LinkedIn is filled with events. I don't know when you sleep.
I know.
I'm having trouble sleeping these days too.
Magnesium.
I'm trying.
yeah,
I'm
magnesium.
trying. And I tried some melatonin, but okay.
Sleepy time tea.
Okay, I tried that too, but I'll get some magnesium. But Sandy, you and I, along with Bethany, our development director, we're always trying to expand partnerships, sponsorships, because what people need to realize is these programs are free to our matches, our bigs, and our littles. And that's why we're out here all the time, fundraising all year long.
Right.
We're always looking at business partnerships. And if you just want to kind of talk about how businesses or other organizations could support us.
We have about just over 500 matches in our program, and we're growing, right? And so to make those matches happen, we need mentors. So we need the resources to go out, bring awareness to our mission, to go out and recruit volunteers. We have a very efficient, effective enrollment process for both volunteers and for our littles. We talk about all these great stories, but at the end of the day, it's important for us to keep our kids safe. Our processes also are intensive in the fact that we want to make sure we're doing everything that keeps kids safe. And so with background checks and a lot of other checking references on volunteers, match support, match activities. So matches have an opportunity to see each other, and we give a platform to allow matches to see each other through activities that we organize and coordinate. And so in order for that all to happen, we do need resources. We need the financial resources to make all of that happen. That is where, the community, the businesses come in to really partner with us to ensure that we're making long-lasting, safe matches. And, that's really where they can help. They can also, employers also have, that's where our volunteers are at. They have, access to people who care about the community, who want to make an impact. We know our workplaces are, filled with, not just one generation of folks, but like multiple generations. And, there's opportunity there for us to also get our message in front of these workplaces where, people are, and that we can really inspire them to spend time with a little. And so businesses can really support us with their talent and obviously with their treasure, with their resources, to ensure that our programs are thriving and growing and we are reaching more kids in Dane County.
Yeah. And I think too, as we were saying, sponsorships are just so important just to keep our programs going in general. But businesses who feel like they can't sponsor something, whether it's like Bowl for Kids' Sake or the Hunt or the Gala, like with the big draft, for instance, we're working with local businesses right now that are supporting us. So we need that. There's other ways that you can support.
Even just holding space for us.
Yes.
Doing anything that
Yeah.
we,
I know.
like, hey, we can drive customers to your business. Do you want to do something as far as a happy hour? Or
Yes.
a big celebration.
Right.
The big mentors. If you have anything that pertains to kids between the ages of 6 and 18.
Right.
Yeah.
We're always looking for opportunities to do events and find fun and engaging things to do in Madison, especially in these cold months.
Yeah, and I will just give a shout out to the businesses, the local businesses that are being a part of the big draft, and anybody else who wants to be a part of it, definitely reach out. But like Working Draft Beer, they are doing a give back.
Free advertising on the
Yeah.
air. Look at
Wow.
Okay.
us.
Working Draft, which the couple, they're former big couple. So they are going to be a part of the big draft. They are doing, and they're just great to work with. They are doing a drink special. March, they're going to do something on Mondays for Lego night.
Ooh.
Like going towards the big draft. So you definitely want to stay tuned on that. Miggy's Bakes has like little football cookies and brownies. Proceeds are going to come back to us. Starkweather Brewing is doing. They're also a former big couple as well.
Yeah.
They're doing. So we thank all the local businesses. We can't do it without you. And if there's more that want to join, I mean, give us a call for sure. Yeah, we'll always do a give back.
Right.
Always.
Always.
I can put on my
Yes.
radio voice and do some of the podcast ads. Those are always
Yes.
funny,
Yes.
I won't say any because I don't need any free advertisement, but there's some funny ones out
Right.
there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, with this podcast, Sandy, I have a question for you. This is our very first Big Brothers Big Sisters podcast, and you've been a huge supporter. I remember when the idea was presented to you. You were a fan right away. You wanted this. And I'm just curious what your hopes are for this podcast, and what do you hope to achieve by being a part of it?
Well, I know you've already gotten started on bringing matches in, speaking to bigs, and hearing their stories. I mean, this is like the first time I really got to hear in depth, like Joe's story and like those moments that made a difference in his life. And I think we really need to bring that to the forefront of our podcast. I think more people need to hear about what those moments are and what they meant to people. And really through this podcast, I just want to I want to share how like everyday people, right? People in our community are just making a difference, and also hear from like kids in our community, like how they, do they value the program, and why they like their big, and how they like to spend time with them. And so I think it's just really important for us to get those stories out there, and how anybody, and to inspire others to be part of our program, to volunteer. I think that's definitely kind of at the top of where I see this podcast growing, and maybe one day inspire, hoping getting other folks, bigs, or just other folks that had a mentor in their lives, maybe not through Big Brothers Big Sisters, but who really value mentoring, and to share their story here. I mean, this is the place.
Yeah, it is. And I'm excited about that too, because as we talked about, the idea, you get to hear from everybody's perspective. And it's true. Like, Joe, I met you 2 years ago when I started, and I
Coffee at Rotunda Cafe.
That's right.
Cafe.
That's right. And like, I got to know you a little bit, but it's so cool to have this platform and to be able to really in depth hear everything. I always learn something new, even like bigs that I've known since I've started. There's always something new about the relationship or about their match that I never knew before. I want to, definitely hear from, we're hearing from a board member, with sponsors, like you said, Littles.
I should see if I can't get Nate on here.
Ooh, that would be
I would
great.
love to hear
It'd
him
be like
without
part
me.
2.
Yeah,
I
part
love
2.
that.
Hear his perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we also have, other board members who are like, bigwigs at companies.
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
fact that they're like volunteering to be a big, I just think it's amazing. This is like the place where you could be, like I said, you could be anybody. You could have some like big job title, or you could just be, you're just maybe not necessarily with that big job title, but like being a big is such common ground, and the commonality that those experiences that you have is something that you can connect with anyone. That is a big, no matter
Nate hadn't even graduated from college when he was my big.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he didn't know what he was going to do, nothing. So it's at any point you can have a profound impact through this program, whether you're just getting done with college, just starting college, or like you're saying, at the peak of your career.
Yeah. And another thing in our instance, like we started a high school mentors, at East High School and West High School. So, you could be a sophomore, junior, and be a big.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, I am wrapping up this podcast. I've had so much fun with you both.
This has been great.
But I do want to ask you both something before we sign off here.
Don't make me cry.
I know, right?
Please.
I won't.
That seems like you're not promising.
No,
that.
I'm not going to. No. What are some ways that others in the community can make a big difference in the lives of youth through mentorship? Joe, what do you think?
I think it goes back to like showing up. I even think about I play a lot of basketball around Madison, and you can tell there's always different ages. Anyone from high school, middle school, all the way up through the 37U basketball where people are close to their 40s, and you can see the impact that is had even on the court for people that look after the younger generation that are playing with us. I think that there's ways to be a mentor every day in life, and I think that has to do with, again, just putting out good karma into the world, looking out for other people. It's something that we should be doing as a community nonstop, right? I think it's something that is even lacking in our current culture is, you've got to look out for the person next to you. You should always be looking for ways to help somebody. So I think that's something that I think is that could help through. It's not necessarily mentorship, but it's something that can help the community for sure.
That's awesome. Great answer. What do you think, Sandy?
I believe that, we talked about high school mentors. We talked about people who have big corporate titles. At the end of the day, everybody has this collection of experiences, knowledge. And I think it's important, let's not be gatekeepers. Let's share that. And like you said, giving back to that community sometimes is just like sharing that knowledge, sharing that experience and what you've learned from it, because the reality is there's someone else is about to go through that or is going through that. And our young people just really need positive people in their lives. And, we exist in a world where we get infiltrated with so much media and world events that are impacting us just in a way that we're hearing these things happen in other places that are terrible and just bad news. And it's but there's good that is happening. And so I think if we can all ask ourselves, okay, even though this is happening in our world, what can I do to ensure that, there's at least something positive happening in my community that I can impact directly. And so, like you said, whether it's looking out after your neighbor or volunteering to be a big, it's all going to make a difference.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
This was fantastic.
How did we do for the first podcast?
I think this is an amazing first episode. Great way to kick it off.
Awesome.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah,
Yes.
This was fun.
Yeah.
I would do it again. So
I think
the
you
door's
should
open.
do it again.
Yeah.
So I just want to give a huge thanks to Sandy Morales, CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dane County, and Joe McGonigle, former little and current board member of Big Brothers Big Sisters. So thank you again for helping me kick off our very first podcast episode and sharing, the perspective from a CEO and perspective from a former little and board member. All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for listening to the Big Difference Podcast, a podcast about empowering youth and strengthening communities through the transformative power of mentorship. I'm your host, Tracy Anderson, Community Partnerships Manager at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dane County. And to learn more about Big Brothers Big Sisters, you can visit our website at bbbsmadison.org. That's bbbsmadison.org. It's all about making the big difference. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Big Brothers Big Sisters of Wisconsin, in partnership with NFL Inspire Change, is launching the Big Draft, a statewide campaign to recruit 700 new mentors for Wisconsin's youth. Supported by NFL players and Mark Murphy, president and CEO of the Green Bay Packers, our goal is to recruit 700 bigs statewide, including 100 in Dane County, from February to April. We need community champions to help spread the word and become mentors. Mentorship transforms lives, offering youth the support and opportunities they need to succeed. Join us and make a big difference. Take your podcast to the next level with Media 22. From top-tier equipment to custom sets and a dedicated producer, we'll make you sound like a pro. We specialize in audio and video podcasts, video editing, content distribution, and live streaming for creators and businesses. Visit media22llc.com today for your free consultation. Media 22, where excellence meets creativity.